Happy Advent, everyone. Well, I also want to welcome all those who are visiting for the first time or those who are here for the very first time. This is the season that we celebrate between Thanksgiving and Christmas. We call this season Advent. And to be honest, it's a strange time of year for us. It's a strange time to be a Christian because we celebrate, in fact, two parallel seasons. One is the season of consumption, and the other is the season of Advent. And I thought this morning we'd probably get a much better sense of what Advent is like if we compare these two seasons, since we're involved in both of them. You know, the advertising world, it completely ignores Advent. It leaps right over Advent to Christmas, usually starting with, now these days, Halloween, leaping right over Advent and jumping to Christmas. But for Christians, we cannot skip the season of Advent. The reason is because the Advent season is about leading us to Jesus. Christmas is not about presents, it's about the Lord. And during Advent, we're told to wait and to watch. Meanwhile, every commercial you see tells you, hurry now, if not sooner, you better buy this, the sale's ending. Now, Mary and Joseph are the great symbols for us of Advent. Mary, 9 months pregnant, waiting to give birth to this child. John out in the Judean desert, waiting for God's new world to be born. Meanwhile, the symbol for the season of consumption is usually that line of people. They've gotten up at some crazy hour, they're waiting for the door to open. The door of the store busts open and they burst through. And that's the symbol for the season of consumption. And during Advent, we hear from the prophets about the great hopes God has for us. Hopes for peace and an end to war. Hopes for justice. They express the hope that the hungry will one day be fed and that God will be king. But the marketplace also offers us hopes. But they speak about the hope that you find in a new salad or a new product you buy. And Advent and the season of consumption have very different approaches to time. For advertisers, there's no time like the present. But for us during Advent, we're told to remember the past as we get ready to remember Jesus' birth. We're preparing and waiting for the final future when Jesus is revealed as Lord of the world. And in the present, we're told to watch. So these two parallel seasons, they evoke two very different images for me. The first is of a person lined up, ready to race through an obstacle course. And this obstacle course begins, boom, on Thanksgiving Day. And this poor person, he races to a relative's house, or maybe has people coming to their house, cooking Thanksgiving dinner, and then off to the Christmas party, off to breakfast with Santa, maybe off to a neighborhood Christmas party, then there's a school band concert, and of course shopping, and finally, we collapse on Christmas Day at the finish line. Now, you all have your own obstacle course that you're running. So that's one image. Here's the other. The other image is of two comfortable seats. And in one of them sits the risen Lord. And he's sitting there and he's inviting you to take a break. You want to take a break from that obstacle course, he says? You want to have a seat? Take a rest. Sit with me. Let's talk. And one of the things he wants to talk about is all the gifts that God has already given you. And in today's second reading, St. Paul reminds us of some of these gifts. First, we've been given the gift of grace that's been bestowed on us through Christ. And all of us have been given the gift of faith, of hope, and of God's love. But then there's the greatest gift we've been given. And Paul describes it as friendship with Jesus, of being Jesus' partner and companion in his work. So during Advent, take a break from whatever obstacle course you're running through. Find a quiet seat in your home or maybe in our Eucharist chapel and sit down and imagine the risen Lord sitting next to you. And talk to him. Listen to him. Pull out your Bible, and if you don't own one, you can buy one. They're on Amazon. Dust it off if you have one, and you haven't looked at it in a while. And read the readings from next Sunday. So that by the time you come here, they'll speak to you in new and powerful ways. Or commit yourself to coming to weekday Mass during